So if we have fearful emotions, then that's what we will transmit to others. If we have a negative emotions, then it will obstruct the flow of positive thoughts. Had enough experiences through karma game, and it's time to wrap up. And whatever we have accumulated in our cells, be it blocks or welcome to the presentation. I am going to be present myself, Rashmi Gala. I am a finance professional based in United Kingdom. I'm going to be presenting on book summary on an Ascension Handbook by Tony Stubbs. So before we begin this presentation, friends, keep an open mind and open heart space, and I wish you enjoy listening to this. So about this book is a channeled material. It is the wisdom of this book has come from Serapis. Serapis is an ascended master, and he was also worshipped as god Osiris during the times of Atlantis, and during ancient times on Earth, he was known as Hermes and Thoth. So his so now that we are set for planetary ascension, the role of Serapis is to bring intellectual clarity that we need to ascend. So what is this ascension? So it's about raising our vibration or our frequency. So we are evolving from our dense physical body to a multidimensional light body awareness. So and we need to connect with our spirit self to be ascended. So you are not learning to become light, but you are remembering that you are light. So this book presents it's a guide and it's a how-to manual to understand humanity's evolution into higher consciousness. So structure of the book is the book is divided into two parts. Part one is about the metaphysical concepts on energy, space, time, nature of matter, energy fields, origin of our species, and so on. And part two talks about the practical tools and techniques that we need to ascend. So in the interest of time, I'm going to cover as much as possible. So first, the concept of nature of matter. So we know that we are all energy beings, right? Energy is vibrating at different frequencies, and everything that we see a matter is all energy. So within every atom of our body is huge amount of energy that's vibrating and constantly changing. So there's a picture of atom next to it, and so we were discussing nature of matter. So all existence is energy vibrating at different frequencies. We are all energy beings. So within every atom of our body lies huge energy that's constantly moving and changing at a rapid pace. So each energy is a very conscious. Within itself. It knows its function as well as its connection with the source. So How was physical matter created? So it was created by higher consciousness beings who organize units of conscious energy into a particular frequency. So if we see third dimensional frequency, that is our Earth, all of us are conscious energy units. That is trees, humans, animals, and we are all vibrating at in the third dimensional frequency, and it's for a specific purpose. But we will see the purpose in a bit. So the book talks about DNA structure. DNA structure within each cell is a complete database of information. It holds information of all our incarnations as well as incarnations of our entire species. So we are basically living library, and but we don't remember that we are what who we are. So that is also going to be covered in few slides when we talk about amnesia. So moving on, I'm going to be talking about holograms and standing waves. So in the first picture, if we pass laser beam through multiple mirrors that are angled in certain way, then the object's reflection can be created in the holographic image. So you can see that the star in between is the object and the holographic image has been created of it. So Serapis talks about the how our universe is a holographic image of reality, and everything that we see is a mere projection of various blueprints. So in the second picture, then we are going to talk about standing waves, resonance. So if we take a tuning fork and if we move a tuning fork, then it will generate some sound frequency, and this whatever whatever frequency it generates, any other tuning fork kept near it will start picking that frequency and vibrate at the same frequency. So this talks about the frequency attracts frequency or resonance theory, and it is very important because all of our life, everything that we go through is based on this resonance. So we are going to talk about it in the next slide, about the energy fields. So before we begin energy fields, the therapist talks about ego self and spirit self. So ego self are us who are in the third dimensional reality, and spirit self is who in the higher realms. So everything that we experience, our spirit self experience through us. So they are not two different entities, they are the same entity. But it's just that we feel there is a disconnect between ego self and spirit self. So our spirit self has what spirit self does is it projects its energy into three of our fields, that is physical field, emotional field, and mental field. So emotional field is based on the physical field is based on the physical blueprint. It's a subatomic particles again made up of conscious units of energy. And this field, so basically we see that our field, we are only this physical body, but our the subatomic particles are more dense in this body, and they are less dense outside. That's why we don't see the field, but it stretches to infinity. So that was one of the great insight I understood from the book. Moving on to emotional field is based on emotional blueprint, and wherever emotional field and physical field interact, there is we can feel that emotion in our body. So for example, if we are angry, then we feel that emotion as a rapid breathing or muscle tensing. So the emotional field stretches 2 to 6 feet outside of our physical body, but it can go even beyond that. And moving on to mental field is based on all thoughts and intellect. It's a storehouse of thoughts. Basically, again, thoughts are high frequency structures organized in the mental field. So there are three great insights that I found from the book is our all our fields, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual fields interact with each other, and that happens through resonance, my friends. So if we have a negative emotions, then it will obstruct the flow of positive thoughts. So it just so important to keep our fields very clean. Um, and then the next insight is our fields are constantly receiving and transmitting signals. So actually, there's a core principle that universe rearranges itself according to our belief. So if we have fearful emotions, then that's what we will transmit to others. And if others have similar patterns, then that negativity would amplify, and then it receives again into our field. So book mentions that best way to stay away from news if we have certain patterns or blocks and negativity or negative emotions within us. But the good thing is that if you have love into your field, then that would transmit to the others. And transmission of love is more powerful than negative transmission because love is in harmony with nature. So the last point says that spirit self sends positive thoughts and emotions into our fields all on a continuous basis. So if you are in a crowded space and if you feel that your energy, you feel like exiting from there, that's a spirit self conveying to you that your energy is dropping. So just exit without apologizing. And sometimes, you feel like you want to do a painting or you want to create some new recipe or go for a walk or just take a break. That's your spirit self guiding you to do the activity that brings joy to you. So definitely you must do it. Now, talking about origin of our species, this is actually our story, my friends. So once, very, very very long time ago, there were vast non-physical light beings who decided to colonize a planet to do the research work on behalf of the source. So one of the being volunteered as to become the consciousness of the planet, and that's planet Earth. So the group of beings helped this being to lower its frequency through dimensions and fit into the physical matter of Earth. And rest other beings decided to make blueprints of various life forms. So after a very, very long time, they created their own lower frequency projections, and those projections created further projections. So they then eventually they densified into semi-light bodies, and then after very, very long time again, they had a breakthrough. They could make a physical body made up of subatomic particles and atoms and molecules, etc. So eventually, again, they are all experimenting, and it's happening in a very creative and a fun way. They decided that let's project our consciousness into these forms, and that gave rise to duality. So up to this point there was just unity. There was one consciousness and separate many, many forms, but now they decided to put their own consciousness into those forms. So now two vantage points got created. One was fifth dimensional reality, as and the other one was physical vantage point. Then again they decided to separate their emotional and mental fields. They got a very intense experience through their emotional and mental fields when that was separated, and they got thrill out of it. So they enjoyed this experience a lot. Then eventually they gave autonomy to the projections. Now, projections can have their own thinking capacity and their decision making powers, but they are still all very connected with their spirit nature still. Then, if they got bored, they would dematerialize forms and rematerialize at will. And later on, much later, they finalized one body type, and they decided to have a physical birth process. Again, they enjoyed how birth process gave them huge thrill. So they were all having like fun and creative ways of experiencing life on Earth. And then eventually, over a period of time, birth of ego happened. So ego started rising. So earlier, the ego's role was to act as an information gathering interface. So whatever ego feels like, whatever they are experiencing on Earth, like how walking on the Earth feels like, or how climbing mountain feels like, they would feel that, and spirit self will experience all that experiences through ego self. But you know what happened over time? Over time, ego started doubting if spirit self even exists. Its role shifted from outward to inward. Sorry, inward to outward. It started there was then split a split happened where ego self was completely disconnected with the spirit self, and that caused some kind of shame which is such stored in our cellular levels, that we allowed certain energies into our framework, and some people call it dark energies, or dark t-shirt, or fall of men. But it gave rise to shame into our cells, that because we got disconnected from our own self. And also there was this collective decision of trying out amnesia at birth, that whenever we will take birth, we will completely forget that we are of spirit nature. And then we wanted to, so this is all happening in the experience, like we are trying to experience different things. And that gave rise to many questions, whether we would recognize our own spirit nature, whether we would recognize spirit nature in others as well, or would we kill them or fight with them or steal from them. So then we introduced a framework of law of karma. And this was necessary at that time because this was because Pradeep sir says that karma is not a punishment, it's a learning tool. So we wanted to learn from that, and we wanted to come back to our spirit nature. And if we are continuously repeating certain patterns, we wanted to come to that point that why these patterns are repeating, and if this is repeating, what is there for me to learn out of it, and how can I evolve into my the spirit self again. So that's why we brought law of karma. And now the karma has been active on this planet for over 100,000 years, and our collective consciousness has decided to wrap up. We have had enough experiences through karma game, and it's time to wrap up. And whatever we have accumulated in ourselves, be it blocks or uh, eh, shame or guilt or anything, all the patterns needs to be released, and we need to connect back with our spirit, and that is ascension. So the journey of ascension is not upward, it is inward. So moving on, how do we ascend? So we have to break old patterns, and then we need to align with our spirit self. So Serapis talks about unifying our chakras. So traditionally, our chakras are cone-shaped chakras, which were isolated from heart centers. So we took decisions from, like intellectual decisions from our third eye chakra. We took survival fear-based decisions from our root chakra, and power-based decisions from our third chakra. So there was no the heart center. So love energy was missing from all our decision, and that was required to play the karma game until now. But now that we are moving into the ascension timeline, it is important, and our all our chakras are now unifying. So the process goes something like this: that we expand our heart chakra. Sorry. We expand our heart chakra and start bringing all the chakras into our heart chakra. So we are expanding our heart chakra who bring all the chakras in. And Serapis mentions the chakras can go up to 14, which is the source itself. So this is basically we just need to raise an intention to unify our chakra, visualize that it is the spirit is blending energy in, and we need to connect with our higher truth that we are nothing other than the source itself. So there are two benefits to it: it eliminates processing of individual field or individual chakra, and a higher, like wider spectrum energy can enter into our being. So there then Serapis talks about how we can release shame and all those patterns from our cells. So there are some lines. This is one of the ascension technique which is provided in the book. You need not do according to this, but you can have your own creative ways. But I'll just say that what they are saying is for shame or guilt. Let's say if you have some kind of a sadness, a certain pattern of sadness, then you can acknowledge that pattern, that yes, you have that pattern, but it no longer serves to the path of light, and hence I'm ready to release it and let it transform into light. So that's for shame. And then we have a lot of blame in our life, that is complaints towards others who have hurt us. So visualize all those people with whom you had some friction, be it your friends or your colleagues or family or children, partner, whoever, neighbors, anybody, and just tell them that you forgive them. You acknowledge that they have played their part because of the contract between you two, and thank them for playing that part, and say you love them, and just clear that energy, because it's time to cleanse our fields. Then apart from shame and blame, we have a lot of self judgment as well. So repeat those above steps in front of mirror. That's what books suggest. And for general, there are just a general statement here, that I forgive anyone that I think who has harmed me in this, or in this lifetime, or any lifetime, anywhere, anywhere, or any plane. I forgive all debts and erase all karma, and I choose light for myself and for all my selves. So that's, you can take the screenshot of this, or you can have your own way of releasing it. Um, so we have 5 more minutes. So there's another pattern which releases blocks and vows. So I'm going to talk about this. Serapis had to take permission from several councils to release this information. It is that profound that it releases all the karmic patterns of yours in all incarnation, as well as karmic patterns of all your ancestors in all incarnations since your first birth on earth. So I'm not going to read all lines, but it talks about your like can be done only with the guidance of your spirit friends. It's about canceling all vows that you have taken to experience the illusion of unconsciousness. And as a light bearer of my genetic lineage, I break these vows for myself and for all my ancestors. And I declare this vows as null and void in this incarnation and all our incarnations across time and space, across parallel realities, parallel universes, and so on. And I ask for the release of all crystals, devices, thought forms, emotions, matrices, veils, cellular memory, pictures of reality, genetic limitation, and death now. And under the law of grace, by the decree of victory. And then it says, as the spirit wills, I ask for awakening, and as the spirit wills, I am awake. I am that I am. And yes, you are that you are. So basically, law of grace. So grace, Elohim, is one of the higher dimensional being who has brought the energy from the from the cosmos, and this energy helps in breaking all the karmas. So that was for breaking all the vows which you have taken so far. And now that you have broken all the vows and you moved all the patterns out, this is time to then align with your spirit. So the book talks about unifying your chakra, connecting with your spirit self. Ask your spirit to blend in energy into your unified field. And whatever is the question that you're facing, you can constantly connect with your spirit self. So if you let's say if you are going for a job interview, then you can ask your spirit self to match the energy of the place of the next potential working place and how it feels like. If you feel there's a great flow of energy, then that job is for you. But if you feel that your spirits, if you feel that you are like coughing, or your muscle is tensing, or you don't feel some great energy, then it's the spirit self guiding you that no, this job you shouldn't go for it. So at any point of time you can refer back to your spirit self, and spirit always guides. And I think this is one of the thing, even it's always told by the Pradeep sir to connect with the with the spirit self. And if you are doing breath awareness meditation practice, it's naturally happening anyways. So the takeaways from this book that I got is unify your chakra. Just raise an intention once, and it's probably done. It will be done by your spirit guide, anyways. So unify your chakra, release all old patterns or blocks or any guilt and anything that you need to release from your cellular level. Cleanse your energy field. Be away from the news if you are carrying some negative emotions or negative thoughts. Otherwise, it would amplify. And once you have lots of love energy, then you can increase. You can just keep transmitting to others. Anyways, align with your spirit self and ascend. So, Serapis says you are collectively entering the glorious time, a glorious conclusion of a glorious experiment, and the stage is set. Entire universe is poised in anticipation. So play your parts with joy. So I now thank BHF and BHF admin and all the participants to give this platform to for me to you read this book and then present on this. So thank you, friends.
One question is, uh, do you see any change in yourself after reading this book? And, or rather, what made you choose this book? And do you see any conscious change after reading this book from the information that is being given by Serapis?
Sure. So, yes, I saw huge change in myself. So it just called me when I was selecting the book from the list that Pradeep sir had given. All the books, out of all those books, this was like the book which I was like, just read the summary and I decided this is it. I'm doing this. And when I was reading the book, it gave me immense clarity on how we have decided all those things. And every time I had a question on, anything, like whether I will should I, be associated with BEHF, I received some answer from my spirit self. So in every time, like I had a question whether should I talk about these ascension tools and techniques, or just talk about the breath awareness practice that we do. Then I received another kind of one answer. Like I was holding this book in my hands and I was just sitting in meditation, and that was my question. And I just sat in the meditation without any expectation. And again, I was like, the book was vibrating like in my hands. So I took that as an answer to share the ascension tools. But so many times I realized that when I was traveling in the train, I'm just taking a pause and reading the book and understanding what are they trying to say. Then every time I realized that Spirit is sending me some, examples which I quoted today, or those examples just came in. And I realized how that message just comes. So that was one like biggest thing that I gained out of this, and then more connection with spirit self. So that definitely is a plus.
And my question is, you were talking about vows that we have taken for many births, that we can actually clear off all the vows, right?
Books talks about this, that there are two ways to deal with it. One is either play out the karma that you have chosen, or
Okay.
cancel it out. So now it is possible, and the energy of grace Elohim has come on earth since 1988 times. So yeah, that was very new for me as well.
So
But
without
it
playing
only can be
without playing the karma, we can even cancel it out.
it can only happen with the guidance of spirit self. So spirit
Mm,
self will decide whether, you know,
mm.
do we need to, because sometimes even playing out the karma, there is huge learning out of it. So like from our like limited mind and limited intellect, we cannot decide, but it's best to surrender to divine and let spirit self do the guide, like do the process. You just raise your internet intention from your side and let it happen.
Okay. So can you give me examples of vows that we would have taken in our previous or many lifetimes that we have
Yeah,
come
so the
across?
biggest vow that
Examples.
we have
Mm.
taken is amnesia and karma.
Amnesia.
So
Okay. Amnesia, like forgetting.
yes, yes. So the book says that while reading, lot of things will happen to you, and you will start remembering things of your or lives of your, our. So we were light beings. We lowered our frequency over dimensions and came down. So our existence is in all dimensions, and even as non-physical being, we exist. So you will start remembering things, and I am it's been 2 3 weeks I'm facing huge lucid dreams, and in a lot of such dreams I'm doing such things which I cannot imagine in the physical space. So yeah, so karma and amnesia, yes, these two definitely is the biggest thing that you can get out of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's basically a follow-up question to the previous conversation of, clearing your the chance. Looks like I have a problem. One second, I'll just take it off my headphone.
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes, now you're audible.
Okay. So the question was where you were mentioning about the spirit self can help uh, or in this space after this 1800, whatever the year is supposed to be. We are right now in that space where the spirit self can help eliminate karma and the vow. That particular point that you all were discussing about. I have a question there. So the spirit self here is again one's own higher self.
Yes, yes,
Or
same thing.
okay. So basically, again, that means I have to fall back into my meditation to understand my own spirit self. Is that how the path we should look? Is the book also saying the same thing, or is there
Yes, so
anything different?
when we are practicing this breath awareness practice, anapanasati meditation, basically, so we are anyways connected with our spirit self in that meditation, because when we are observing breath and where the mind is completely empty, what happens is, we reach that field where observer becomes the observed, right? So that's the field of our spirit self. So at one point in the past where we stopped going inward and our we went outward and started framing realities and ideas about realities, but this is time again to just go within and connect with your own self or higher self or spirit self, and let the spirit self knows much more than what we know. We have limited understanding of reality, but spirit self knows everything, like everything is like known. So yeah, taking guidance from your inner self or higher self or spirit self is better.